Verbs. Verbs are an essential part of speech, without which it will be impossible to indicate what the subject is doing. It refers to all actions, including those related to feelings and emotions. A verb is the main word in any sentence. No sentence is complete without a verb. For example, I'm writing. She is dancing. They are singing. A sentence has a main verb, a helping verb, or both. For example, Geeta is washing clothes. Both helping and main verbs, showing an action. My mother is happy. Only helping verb, showing the state. Types of verbs. Verbs can be classified into numerous types according to their function or role in a sentence or context. Main verbs/action verbs. Main verbs, also known as principal verbs or action verbs, describe the actions of the subject in a sentence. The actions described by the verbs can be either physical, done by the body, or mental, done using the mind. Speak, run, look, sit, swim, etc. are examples of verbs describing the physical actions, while think, feel, learn, notice, realize, etc. are examples of verbs describing mental actions. All of these are called main verbs. For example, she speaks very politely. He realized his mistake. Helping verbs/auxiliary verbs. Helping verbs or auxiliary verbs are used to help the main verbs. Helping verbs add more meaning to the action in the sentence. They help change the mood or tone of the sentence. Helping verbs help us to form negative and interrogative sentences along with the main verb. Am, is, are, was, were, has, have, do, will, can, etc. are the examples of helping verbs. For example, mother will go to market. I am not buying fruits. Have you received the payment? Linking verbs. Linking verbs are verbs that do not show action but instead link the subject with more information about the subject. Look at the following examples to understand the linking verbs. 1. Am, is, are, was, were. These forms of the verb to be are the most common linking verbs. For example, she is a teacher. 2. Become. This verb shows a change of state. For example, he became a doctor. 3. Seem. This verb indicates how something appears. For example, they seem happy. Linking verbs can also include sensory verbs like look, feel, sound, taste, and smell when they are used in a non-action sense. For example, the soup smells delicious. These verbs help to provide more information about the subject by linking it to a description or state of being. Intransitive verbs. An intransitive verb is an action verb. It does not require an object to complete the meaning of a sentence. These verbs express the action on their own. For example, the dolphins are swimming. The baby is crying. Live, arrive, laugh, stand, jump, walk, sneeze, run, sleep, disappear and wait are some other examples of intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs. A transitive verb conveys that something is being done to the direct object by the subject of the sentence. For example, Max ate an egg. The cat killed a mouse. If there is no object, you cannot call it a transitive verb. There are two kinds of objects within a sentence, direct object and indirect object. Type of object. Definition. Example. Direct. The noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb. It answers the question what/whom. I sent some books. Cart repairs ACs. Indirect. The noun or pronoun for which the action is done. It answers the question to whom or for whom. I sent some books to Sam. Cart repairs ACs for neighborhood people. Verbs of incomplete predication. Read the following sentences. Lions roar. The soup tastes good. In these sentences, the verbs roar and tastes are intransitive verbs. The first sentence, lions roar, makes a complete sense. In the second sentence, the verb tastes requires the word good to make the sense complete. Such a verb is called a verb of incomplete predication. The word good, which is not the object in the sentence but is required to complete the sense, is called the complement of the verb. 1. Lions roar, subject verb. 2. The soup tastes good, subject verb complement of the verb. Regular verbs. Verbs that end in D or ed in past participle forms are known as regular verbs. For example, look becomes looked. Dream becomes dreamed or dreamt. Show becomes showed. Cry becomes cried. Irregular verbs. The verbs that change their spellings in simple past and past participle forms are known as irregular verbs. For example, think becomes thought, simple past. Thought, past participle. Bear becomes bore, simple past. Bore, past participle. Pay becomes paid, simple past. Paid, past participle. Catch becomes caught, simple past. Caught, past participle. Look at the following sentences showing the examples of irregular verbs. I held the box for half an hour. My sister took my laptop. Modal verbs. Modal verbs are used to denote the possibility, probability, capability or necessity of something happening. Can, could, will, would, may, might, should, must, ought to, etc. are some modal verbs. For example, I can solve this sum in few seconds, showing ability. Sheena might stand first in her school, showing possibility. May I use your pen? Asking for permission. We must obey our parents, showing obligation. Phrasal verbs. When a verb combines with a preposition or adverb to form a phrase that has a different meaning, it is called a phrasal verb. For example, teachers should not talk down to their students. Rox's mother could not put up with his tantrums. Ask for, bring out, hand out, get up, etc. are some other examples of phrasal verbs. Stative verbs. A stative verb shows states of being or conditions. These verbs can express emotions, opinions, beliefs, qualities, senses and states of existence. These are usually followed by a direct object. These verbs do not have any duration, start or finish. These are the forever verbs. For example, Aina loves pizza. Do you know the answer? I saw Ziva, but she couldn't see me. I was too far away. Sarah has a Wagoner. Rules for usage of verbs. 1. When the subject is singular noun or pronoun, he, she, it, always use a singular verb. For example, she comes to school every day. The train is arriving. 2. When the subject is a plural noun or pronoun, they, those, we, always use a plural verb. For example, those are my pens. We were doing our homework. 3. Always use singular verbs with collective nouns. For example, the board of directors is in a meeting. Our team trains together every day. The class is waiting for their teacher to arrive. 4. The verb used must be in agreement with whichever noun/pronoun is closer to the phrase. For example, neither my father nor I eat pizza. Either Sam or his friends are buying chocolates. 5. Use singular verbs with indefinite pronouns like somebody, nobody, everybody, one, etc. For example, one of my mother's friends is a lawyer. Somebody is knocking at the door. 6. Always use singular verbs with uncountable nouns. For example, there is no rice in the container. The cheese is very soft.